What if I told you that I could save you 25, 50, 75, maybe even $100,000 on health insurance before you start Medicare and it's completely legal? Most people in their late 50s and early 60s are leaving that money on the table when they retire early. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because nobody showed them how the system actually works. Today, I'm going to walk you through the strategy. It's called the Roth-ACA Bridge. And depending on your situation, I can save you that type of money that we just talked about. And that could be one of the most valuable planning moves you make in the decade before you retire. Hi, I'm Charles Cannon, certified financial planner and owner of the Lifetime Income for You channel. We build retirement income plans for people who are serious about making their money last. If you're new here, hit subscribe. I put out planning content like this every week. And stick around to the end because I'm going to tell you how to get that free 20-minute Ask Me Anything Zoom call. And you get to talk to me personally, not a nameless, faceless person in a phone bank somewhere. Now, let's talk about the bridge. Here's the situation a lot of our clients find themselves in. Maybe they get laid off, but hopefully they just have simply planned to retire. But they're between ages 60 and 65. Medicare does not begin until 65, so there is a gap. Sometimes it's 5 years, sometimes more, where they need to find their own health insurance. Many people, when they first retire, default into the COBRA plan offered from their company, from the old employer. But COBRA is very expensive. We're talking at least $2,000 a month for a couple, and it maxes out at 18 months usually. But here's what most people don't know. The ACA marketplace, the Affordable Care Act, the Health Insurance Exchange has income-based subsidies, not net worth-based, income-based. So if you manage your income correctly during those gap years, you can dramatically reduce what you pay for the health insurance, sometimes to almost nothing. Income, not net worth, everyone. And that gives you a planning advantage if you know this. See, the subsidies are based upon your modified adjusted gross income. Let's call that the MAGI. Every dollar of visible income reduces your subsidy. But here's the key word: visible. See, Roth IRA withdrawals are not counted for ACA subsidy purposes. They're invisible to the formula. That's the strategy, folks. You spend your gap years drawing down from your Roth, keeping your MAGI low, and your ACA subsidies stay high. Meanwhile, your pre-tax accounts keep growing. But to do this, you need the Roth dollars available when you need them. That means planning ahead, specifically using your last few years before you retire to do conversions if you don't already have money in your Roth. And we have to do it at the right tax rate. So we've got to do the math behind the conversion. But it's a bridge where the Roth conversions fund the gap. The gap is funding your subsidies, and intentional planning is what makes it all work. Let me show you by applying a real life scenario. A family just retired because of a layoff in the middle of 2026. Now they've got close to $1 million of total invested net worth, right? That doesn't count their home. Of that, about 750 is in traditional IRAs and only about 40,000 in a Roth. One of the two of the family members has already triggered their Social Security. Their spending need is about $8,500 a month, right? That will fund their lifestyle. And I'm not saying that we want any of you to retire early and constrict your lifestyle. You're never going to be younger and in better health than you are today. If you're retiring early, now is when we want to have those go years and do all the things you've promised yourself. But here's how, in this case, that plan looks, the transition year. They already have some W-2 income. Because my client was released from his job, he's going to get unemployment. There's some Social Security income, which, by the way, every dollar of Social Security counts toward the MAGI, even if it's not yet income taxable to you. And so for the rest of this calendar year, they are going to elect COBRA. So that means there's no subsidies. And so because of the surprise retirement, we can use the rest of 2026 to fund that Roth for the next 3 years. It's now or never. They have a one-time chance. Then in years 2, 3, and 4, the ACA will begin in 2027. We will hold their MAGI at a target number. Social Security will count 100%. Annuity income that's from an IRA will count. If there's a pension, that will count. But Roth withdrawals, invisible, folks. We use a Roth to fill the gap between what their MAGI visible numbers are and what their household need is. And that's the key right here. The result is that their ACA premiums will drop from roughly $2,000 a month, or actually it's a little higher, down to about $250 or $300 a month. Over 3 years, that's a savings of about $72,000. And here's the second benefit that no one talks about. Because of the Roth conversion early, their pre-tax IRA is smaller as they enter into their 70s. Smaller IRAs mean smaller required minimum distributions. Smaller RMDs means lower taxes for the rest of their life and potentially a cleaner inheritance for their kids. See, this is what I mean by the tax waterfall. Every decision we make now will have a ramification, but a lot of those ramifications are positive, folks. So as every decision connects to the next one, that's not a product, that's planning. Now, I want to be very direct with you, and I'm going to say this more than once today. This strategy does not fit you all. Whether it works and how well it works depends entirely on the universe of your specific situation, your income sources, your account balances, your Social Security timing, your state's income tax rules, how much you actually spend, whether you have a pension. All of those things matter. I've seen people where we're going to save $75,000 on this one idea. I've seen people where the conversion tax makes it not worth it. The math is different for every family. That's exactly why planning matters over products, folks. Anyone can sell you a product. What you actually need is someone who can run your numbers, your specific numbers, and show you what the right sequence of decisions looks like in your situation. At Cannon Financial Group, we've developed our own tax waterfall software that can show you exactly what your universe looks like today in your last few years before you work, what the Roth conversion will cost in taxation, and what those savings will look like in the future. Because that outcome will be different for everyone. And that's why the first step is always a conversation. Here's what I'd like you to do. If what I've described today sounds like it could apply to you in the future, and you're in that 59 and a half to 65 age window or approaching it, and you're not sure whether you have the right Roth bridge in place to retire early, come to canonfg.com and click on that link. At canonfg.com, there is a link to schedule a call. It's a 20-minute Ask Me Anything Zoom. Now, of course, in 20 minutes, we're not going to solve all the world's problems, but we can take that first step into understanding whether you're a good candidate to put the Roth Bridge in place so that you can retire early. 20 minutes, no cost, no obligation. Because here's the thing, intentional planning is the road to a successful retirement, not waiting to see what happens and then reacting. And a $75,000 decision deserves more than a guess. Come to canonfg.com. This is Charles Cannon, certified financial planner. Remember, income is the most important part of your retirement. And in this case, intentional planning about where your income sourcing is the most important part of ACA planning.